Okay, good morning. So this week we are back on Fowler and Gilbert Business again. Now we're doing something a little bit different inside this building that we did about 2 or 3 years ago for this customer. Quite a difficult job when we did this one. There was a lot going on and it's quite a tight site and there's a lot of other stuff going on the estate here. But when we come down, our customer, which is Baccarel, what they had was they had this bit of stone area out the front here. They had this building here which sort of ended where the brickwork finished there, and then we put this large extension building on the back end. Now we had to do all the drainage. We re-tarmacked this car park over at this end here. So it was quite a difficult job because it was in and around the sort of pandemic time. Materials were hard to get a hold of. This site here, this is a shared route through for all the industrial sort of site that's round us. So it was very tight for us working wise, but I'll show you what we did. So this area here was both customer and staff parking. There was a bit of block paving, I think, from memory, and then there was a bit of stone. So what we did, we had to bring all the drainage through from the new site in and around and connect everything up. So we brought all that way down here, and then when we finished, we resurfaced this then with tarmac. So that finished this end up real nice in front and going this way. That drainage then come all the way along here, so we cut through the existing tarmac. Now the boundary of the site itself is actually, I think, here somewhere, about 2 or 3 meters away from the curb, but obviously there's no fence line because there's an element of it that is an access for everything else. So we fenced it all off, we cut this drain through, we connected up and put the 2 new chambers in here, and that sort of took all of our surface water away from this new building. So our new building effectively started from here. Now because the site is on a little bit of a triangle, and to make the most of the size, because this originally was just a sort of a hard standing yard area out the back, but this customer needed building space, not yard space. So like I say, to make the most of it, we had to tie into the existing building there where the existing operation had started and give them as much as we could. So we come along, we stepped out then. So again, boundary point is sort of running along this line here, and we stepped out. We've got the 2 access doors, so we've got sort of goods in, goods out. And at the same time, there was a canopy put above, so any loading and unloading, because what they do is dehydrated goods. They wanted a canopy, so when they're loading and unloading, they're not getting that rain over the back of the vans or the wagons. So we'll go inside and have a look. So existing building that we attached to, it was quite difficult because we got a double apex there. So there's one apex here you can see, the other one is just over there. So what we had to do is we brought our building in, we sailed it up higher over the top, and then we've infilled effectively the 4 triangles where the double apex of the existing building was. That gave us then the height to bring this building out, because what they needed is sort of storage and high racking. So we brought that out, and then, like I say, the site itself sits on sort of a triangle like this. So what we did is we come out a section where we connected to the existing building. We then stepped out on this side, which is where we've just been outside the yard. Then as we come further along, the yard side of the building, which is behind you, has remained in that same line, but where the triangle and the boundary is set further back, we then stepped that back again so we could get a full row of racking in against or additionally to what we thought we were going to have. So that come through, and then to make it extra awkward, site was on a triangle like this, but it was also funny on the end as well. So we then come along, we step back in and go out. So then on the outside of the building, we weren't left with a great deal of space, but we did need, or the customer needed, somewhere to put bins and the odd pallet of bits and bobs. So what we've done is we've concreted this first section. Now from this site to neighbouring site, there is a difference in height. So there's a yard area that side of that fence. Over the back there, that's actually the medical practice, and there was a difference in height again. So we've put this sort of retaining wall of concrete panels round to retain the higher ground from behind, so that we can keep our level this side nice and low and to suit all of this here. We concreted this, and we've just put a stone area because we need access for general sort of maintenance, and on top of that I think there's a fire exit that you sort of come round, and there's some drainage and stuff around the back. So going round, and that has just tidied everything up really nicely. Like I say, we've got that retaining wall in, we've just gravelled it over. This is like a Criggan green decorative gravel, or some people call it pipe bedding, but it stands up quite nice because it's square edge gravel, so it doesn't sort of mush in like rounded edge gravel does. So in terms of an access now, getting around for maintenance, there's a few bits and bobs drainage wise and all the inspection chambers that we've put in as we go around, you've fully got access to them all the time. So go back round. So like I said, we made the most of the site with the size of the building, and the building construction is very similar to that you've seen on some of the other stuff that we've been on the big site with. When we come to do it, we put obviously all the steels in, the cladding is up. This is your composite cladding as you've seen before. We've got our dwarf wall sat around the bottom on top of a damp course, and that has provided us something to sit the cladding on, and at the same time acts as our shutter with an insulation between us outside and inside, and then we've concreted the floor up to that. So then when we concreted this, what we did is we put like a fairly light duty sort of eco drain running along here, because there's no traffic ever going to be on it. But then across the front of the doors of the building, we've put the big sort of heavy duty ones, because there we've got forklifts coming in and out all day long. And what we don't want to do is we don't want, you know, they can't stand up to that. So we put that along. Customers then put his bollards in front of the doors, safety. And then we finished off by tarmacking this strip to tie in the existing yard back through to our new concreted floor. So let's go and have a look what Chris and the boys are doing inside. So inside the existing building, what we had to do was we've got a room that we need to create over in this corner. So by doing that, what we've got is we've got some just steel posts that we fit to the existing, and then we're going to put like a or a composite panel, but a horizontal panel that'll run across. So we've got a double door going in here for access, and that room is going to be like a separate little area that they're doing something to do with whatever they do, I don't know. Then they wanted to segregate these two rooms here. So this existing sort of bit here is the bit between the two buildings. So between the existing double apex building, that is the centre line wall. So there was some block work and brickwork there. That was knocked out before we come. This here then, we've got to clad this with a composite panel again. We've got to maintain an access door at some point at the top up here, and obviously this is going to be the double door going through into that room where they do, I think it's packaging in there. So again, we've had to sort of come, survey everything, we've taken all the details, we've then made the additional steels, we've painted them up, we brought them down. Chris and the guys are now fitting them, and then what we'll do is we'll clad all that over. But I said when I sort of did the site measure, it was going to be quite complicated around the edges. So the plan is that we'd get all that composite fitted, and then we'd come back, have a measure up and get exactly what flashings we need. So it's a two-part visit here for us, but then we can flash everything up and that'll all be airtight and sealed then. So albeit only a little job for us this time, what has been nice is to actually come back and have a look. The building is now completely fitted out, kitted out, all the materials, it's in use. It's quite nice to see everything going on. Okay, so that is it for this week. If you like what you've seen, hit subscribe, ring the bell please, and we will leave you with, in fact we can't leave you with a montage because this job was mainly done before we started doing this channel. So we're going to leave you with a few fancy drone clips of existing building that we did a couple of years ago, a look round at that on the outside, and then Chris and the guys fitting the internal partitions. Mini montage, boom.